Operation ndokuti yoyambirira ina how to assassinate Kasambala.
Zina ukamamva zimakhala zinthu zogwesa nkhongono umboni umene anthu ena awupeza umene amayankhula mkulu wina amene akuti adali nawo pa plani yokonza chiwembu chozimisa makosana amenewa. Nde mukamvera nkhani imeneyi tikupemphaninso kuti mumve zimene adayankhula nduna yakale ya zachitetezo Ahare Mkandawire, nde mufananize kuti kodi zinthu zimene akulongosola mkuluyo ndi Ahare Mkandawire zikusemphana pati zambiri zili mmenemu.
Pamiti namba ijeni ijeni yathu mapping yathu tinamba from ku ijeni ku Lilongwe kupita ku plant yakaye and operation ndokuti yoyambirira ina how to assassinate Kasambala imene anagwishidwa nzimayi. One of the pali nzimayi otchuka mu Lilongwe amakhala ku area 44. I think imutha umuzi waso. She's a lawyer as well. Now one of the reasons inali yokuti Chilima amafuna kumpanga Kasambala ngati successor wake wa chipani for amafuna akhale president. I think ngati pali akuluakulu ena ndi natha kuiziwa nkhani imeneyo ifeyo tinawuzidwa ndi anthu akuluakulu akonko. Yeah. Ndeno titapanga zimene zija titapita kuchikangawa the planted tinapanga plant madrone athuwo. Of course kwa ineyo I take it ndimachitenga ngati cha normal for timagwira ndi geological survey so guys. One of them ndoti ndachina Helbert Kahuna. I think you know him. He's famous. Panopa malemu no manale wale mina kwambiri nthawi yacha kwerayi. Helbert Kahuna na ndi timu yake ndi anthu amene apa nthungu yaja they received anthu ambiri ma 20 million each which amauza kuti kukubwera azungu amene afuna apange za mining kunoko. Yes. From that point titapanga set matrapo aja ine auza agenda then anatuzo tigwese ma network yathu imene malandira yokha ndoti inali makla under ije Doubt Suleiman. And I believe kuti takhala kuti tapanga restore maijeni athu titapanga discover kuti amene anali active nthawi imene Doubt ma frequency onse anapanga shutdown ndi Doubt from Lilongwe. Ife tinangogwesa matawa akuijeni from agenda kupita kuntunda mfika nzozo ndi mapping athu amene tinapanga cyber. Then from there ndinaitanidwa of course pamene ndikulemba pano ndoti pamene ndikupanga chonchi ndinapangidwa request kuti
permission. Let me start with the role of the Minister of Defense and the Ministry, if you may allow. Honorable Chairperson and members, as requested by your committee, I wish to state as follows. On 9th June 2024, at approximately 7 p.m., I received a phone call from the then head of state, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, instructing me to represent him at the burial of Senior Counsel Raf Kasambara, scheduled for 10th June 2024. The former president further indicated that based on advice that he had received from certain quarters, no military honors were to be accorded due to the late counsel's prior conviction. Chairperson, he sought my opinion and I undertook to revert after consultations. At that time, I was attending a private function at the residence of the current Inspector General in the company of one Supreme Court Justice, one Mzuzu lawyer, former Director of Church and Society of the Livingstonia Synod, and other prominent persons. I did consult the three legal minds present at that time. I thought it was terribly important that I should do that. And the deliberation, I advised, through the deliberations, I advised the former president that military honors be accorded without a gun salute. He approved this recommendation, and immediately I instructed the commander to commence preparations. Chairperson, honorable members, shortly thereafter, the commander informed me that a request had been received to deploy a Donia aircraft to ferry Vice President to the barrio the next day. I advised him to hold the request, as former president had indicated that Vice President might not attend after his long trip from South Korea. The commander later confirmed clearance from the head of state. Chair, I thought it was important that clearance should have been gotten from the former president, because I knew that the fact that the former president delegated me meant that he was not aware that the late vice president had decided to attend the funeral. After I was told that clearance had been given, I later called on the SPC, Madam Corinne Zamba, to find out about the condolence money. It was established that 5 million kwacha had been given to the late Vice President, Right Honorable Saulos Cross Chilima, and that the cost of the airlifting of the body from Brantaya to Mzuzu, the government would have to undertake to pay, and also the cost of the casket. This was agreed by me and the Secretary to Cabinet. She said she would make sure that these costs were made. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, on the 10th June, the next day, I arrived at the residence of the late Kasambara at approximately 8:30. We awaited the Vice President until around 11, during which I maintained the communication with the commander. Chairperson, while there, I know certain quarters were surprised that the ministers that were there were busy making phone calls. Yes, we were, because of what had happened. For the Vice President to take so long to arrive at the function, it was not like him. He was a very punctual person, having worked with him for almost 4 years. So we were all anxious, finding out what time he was going to arrive. So I thought at this juncture I should preempt to mention why we were making phone calls, several phone calls actually. And if I may mention, I tried on a couple of times to call the late Vice President, but the phone was not ringing. The Secretary to Cabinet and the Head of State, and I also tried to call the Vice President, as I said, and could not go through. The commander later informed me that due to the severe weather conditions, instructions had been issued that the aircraft should not land in Mzuzu but return to Lilongwe. That is if crew was contacted. I went ahead to convey this message to the family, namely one Charles Kasambara, I believe is the elder brother of the late Kasambara. He was in the company of Honorable Chimwendo, who had just arrived at the funeral with, I think, Honorable Zikale Ngoma. And also there was the former Vice President, Honorable Kumbo Hastings Kachare. I informed them. The family then went ahead and instructed the clergy to start the ceremony. Let me emphasize there that mine was only to inform the family. It was the family that took upon themselves to issue instructions to the clergy to start the ceremony. During the ceremony, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, General Professor Kuwari, who accompanied me to the funeral, came and whispered to me that the plane was missing and that the last signal was between Ekwendeni and Enubwengo. So the last signal was between Ekwendeni and Bwengo. He didn't mention the exact spot. While driving back soon after the ceremony, of course, we all kept on phoning, trying to find out where the aircraft was. After the ceremony, as I was driving back to Mzuzu, I received a call from Commander indicating that a signal had been detected within a radius of 10 to 20 kilometers from Raiprai around Chikangawa, and that search operations were underway. Chair, if members may ask, that was around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Let me go to number 3, Chair, with your permission. Honorable Chairperson and members, I was directly involved in the search. I was among the first to arrive at the crash site, where I met the Inspector General, Mr. Victor Lungu, I think he's Chief Executive of Airport Development Limited, and officials from Airport Development Limited. Honorable Chair, that was on the 11th. That was around, and it was in the morning. I passed through the airport. There were lots of people. I advised the team that was there, namely Victor Lungu, the Inspector General, that probably it might be a good idea that we take the dead bodies from Raiprai instead of Mzuzu, given the condition of the remains. I thought it was important that we should keep away from the multitude that was at the airport. Therefore, I called the Zambian High Commissioner to Malawi, His Excellency Panji Kaunda. I informed him that the plane had been sighted and we've lost all the passengers on the plane, but we needed the 2 helicopters that were at the international airport in Lilongwe to fly to Laiprai and take the remains to Lilongwe. Chair, let me hasten to say that prior to that, I had called my counterpart in Zambia as the search was being conducted. His name is Honorable Ambrose, the Minister of Defense there. Informally, that is. Chairperson, the helicopters came and the remains of the 9 were ferried to Lilongwe by the 2 Zambian helicopters. Let me go to technical observations that maybe members might want to know. 1, the Dornier aircraft does not have a black box as it has been cited in other social medias. Similarly, all helicopters in the fleet except the Super Puma. If you recall, Chair and Honorable members, the Super Puma is the big helicopter that late first president of the country was using. It's the only one that has a black box, but the rest don't. These helicopters were purchased mid-1980s for obvious reasons. They don't have black boxes. Bullet 2, regarding the emergency local transmitter, so-called ELT. Following a report from Germany, I did call for an emergency defense council meeting. I did propose to the defense council, to which I was chair, that the other Dornier be grounded until the ELT was replaced. This advice was not acted upon. Procurement processes were indeed initiated. Quotations obtained, but I was later informed the Secretary to Treasury cited lack of foreign exchange as the reason for non-purchase of the item. Honorable Chairperson and members, as per your request, I submit this account of the role I and the Ministry of Defense played in the events surrounding the Chikangawa plane crash. I so submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkandawire. I will open the floor to members to ask further questions, starting with the Dowa Kasangas.
Thank you very much, Chair, for giving the people of Dowa Kasangas a chance to ask questions. I have a couple of questions for Honorable Mkandawire, but then I have to declare that I know him personally. He is one of my neighbors in Nzuzu. Honorable Mkandawire, the first question that I have is that you have been making reference to the Inspector General who was with you at the site of the accident. I would like you to clarify whether you are referring to the current Inspector General or the former Lady Inspector General of Police. That's the first question. Then I would like also to cross-check with you the information that was provided to this committee last week by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs on two aspects. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs told this committee last week that the distance between the airport in Mzuzu and the Nkatabe, where burial of the late Kasambala SEC was going to take place, was about 45 kilometers, and that a trip to that destination would take around 35 minutes. I would like you to clarify, since you were at the funeral ceremony, to clarify about the distance between the airport and the place where Laf Kasambala SEC was buried, and the approximate time that it would take for one to drive from Zuzu Airport to the place where burial took place. Number two, on cross-checking, and this is the second question on cross-checking, the information that was given to us, to this committee, by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs told this committee that in spite of the fact that the plane carrying the Vice President was scheduled to arrive in Mzuzu at 2 minutes past 10, there was a certain official, a certain person at the funeral ceremony who ordered that the funeral ceremony should start at exactly 10 o'clock. So since you were there, I would like you to make your comments regarding the remarks which were made by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honourable Minister, you may answer those questions.
Chair, let me thank Doa for the two questions. The first one is about whether the IG I was talking about is the current one or his predecessor. Chair, I'm referring to the current one. And I'm sure if he was to appear before this meeting, this interview, he would confirm that. He's one of the people I consulted on the protocol on how the late Kasambara would be buried, being a legal person himself. And then there was, as I mentioned, about one Supreme Court judge and then a lawyer. All these, if they were here, they would confirm. Again, I mentioned about Moses Mkandawire. If he was here, he would confirm. So, really, Honorable Doa, to answer your question, I was referring to the current Inspector General. Coming to question number 2, how many kilometers from Mzuzu to the home of late Kasambara? I would say about 20 kilometers. Because Chair, from Mzuzu to Nkatabe is about 50 kilometers. And from Mzuzu to the home of Kasambara is before Mpamba. I'm sure you know Mpamba very well, Chair. And we're looking at halfway between Mzuzu and Mpamba. So really, my estimation would be 20 kilometers. That would take maybe at most, maybe 15 minutes. Arrival of VP at, was it at Muzuzu or at the barrier side?
It was said by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs that the plane carrying the deceased Vice President would arrive at Nzuzu Airport at, it was scheduled to arrive at 2 minutes past 10. But although the plane was going to land at that particular point in time, there was, according to the Minister of Justice, there was a certain person who directed that funeral ceremony should commence at 10 a.m., exactly 10 a.m.
Chair, to answer that question, I would say I don't know that person who directed the family or the church to start the ceremony at exactly 10 o'clock. Mine was only to inform the family that the Vice President would not be with us because the commander had directed that the plane, if contacted, should go back to the runway.
Mwanza Central.
Thank you very much, Chair. I have a few questions. I don't know whether you allow me to engage the witness.
You can, 3 questions for now. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Former Minister, Honorable Nkandawire. Page 2, row of the Minister of Defense and the Ministry. Point number 3. You're saying, shortly thereafter, the commander informed me that that a request had been received to deploy a Dornier aircraft to ferry the Vice President to the barrio. I advised him to hold the request as the former president had indicated the Vice President might not attend after a long trip from South Korea. The commander later confirmed clearance from the head of state, and arrangements were made for the Vice President to briefly attend funeral before returning to Lilongwe to see off the president. And I would resume my role of representing the head of state. Honorable Nkandawire, I just want to find out, are you able to tell us what time it was?
Chair, my conversation, my telephone conversation with the former head of state was in the evening. I would say between 7 and 8.
7 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Then point number 4. I later called the SPC, Zamba, to find out about condolence money. And it was established that 5 million was given to the Vice President, and that the cost of airlifting the body from Blantyre to Mzuzu will be paid by government, and so too the casket. I just want to find out what time you spoke to the SPC, because I want to establish the time that she might have delivered the 5 million kwacha.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mwanza Central. Soon after getting clearance from the former head of state, I proceeded to phone the SPC to inform her that the president then had authorized a partial military honor. Now, in the event, what else can we provide in terms of a condolence? Let me mention again here, Chair, that this was a funeral with military honors. It was not a state funeral. There is a difference between a state funeral and a funeral with military honors. So I thought I should pledge as I go to the funeral, because normally you do pledge before the ceremony starts. Inichewa ntumbuka ta vyakulembeska. So I thought I should do that, knowing that the Vice President was bringing the 5 million kwacha. So it was soon after, around about after 8 or so, to answer your question, Honorable.
So it was around 8 that the SPC told you that 5 million kwacha condolence money was given to the Vice President.
Would be coming with the Vice President. At that point, I didn't know that it was given or not, but the money would be coming. As to when, what time, I don't know.
Okay. All right, because the statement, I'll read it again. I later called the SPC Zamba to find out about condolence money. And it was established that 5 million kwacha was given to the Vice President, and that the cost of the airlifting the body from Blantyre to Mzuzu will be paid by government, and so too the casket. So the statement here says was given to. That's what it says in your statement.
Right. We are talking about now. So now we're saying was. But then if it was that time, I would have been saying the 5 million kwacha was going to be given to the former, to the late Vice President.
Thank you.
But to answer your question as to what time, admittedly, I don't know when this money was handed over to the late Vice President, to answer your question, Honorable.
Thank you very much. We'll take it as you have said. The brother to the late Kasambara was here last week, and he told this committee that he decided, and he emphasized that point, and I think he said that maybe twice, if not 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. He decided to tell the clergy that they should proceed with the ceremony. Your statement is saying that you informed the family. I just want to confirm if the statement is correct, that you are the one who informed the family, because he disputed that fact here. But you are saying you informed the family that the Vice President was not coming because the commander told you that the plane would return to Lilongwe. So I just want to confirm if that is what happened.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to answer Honorable Manza Central, mine was only to inform the family. And the brother to late Kasambara agrees with me, because I saw him on the TV mentioning exactly what happened. He was in company with Honorable Chimwendo and another person, I don't know whether it was Honorable Zikaringoma. Mine was to inform him that the Vice President was not going to make it, because the plane, if contacted, would be returning to Lilongwe. So I don't see where we are differing with the brother to Kasambara. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. My last one, for now. Point number 3, search and recovery operations. You're saying, Honorable Chairperson and members, I was directly involved in the search. I was among the first to arrive at the crash site, where I met the Inspector General, Mr. Victor Rungu, and officials from Airport Development Limited. I'll stop there because the other one is talking about the congestion at Mzuzu Airport. But I just want to understand, when you say you were the first to arrive at the crash site, are you talking about the first day, the 10th, or you're talking about the 11th? Because the search operations started on the 10th. So this statement, is it for the 10th or the 11th?
Chair, search started in the afternoon of the 10th and went on throughout the night. The wreckage was discovered in the morning of 11th. And as I said, I was one of the first to arrive on the site of the crash. Again, when I say the Inspector General was there, then he was a Commissioner of Police North.
Thank you very much. Chair, I think my question has not been answered, because what I'm asking the Honorable former Minister is his joining of the search. Was it on, he's talking about the 10th or 11th? In other words, maybe let me be direct. Honorable former Minister, did you join the search on 10th? Maybe let me ask like that.
Thank you very much, Chair. I arrived in Mzuzu in the evening. I was at the funeral almost the whole day, because I made sure I went to the burial site. We did some walking of over 7 kilometers because of the terrain to the burial site. When I arrived, I had to make sure that I make phone calls. The commander assured me that the search was ongoing, and I was getting reports from him almost every 30 minutes or so. I was passing on the whatever information I had to the head of state, whether by phone or by text. So to answer your question, Honorable, my joining of the search was on the 11th.
Thank you very much, Chair. I want you to take note. The mention of evening arrival in Mzuzu. There is a 3 p.m. that was mentioned. I just want also you to take note. I think that's all from me for now. Thank you, Chair.
Chair,
Thank you so much, Chair. I think
Chair.
I wanted...
Let me recognize Zomba's Central South. Yeah, you said you got a clarification.
Yeah, clarification.
Okay.
Chairperson, Honorable Nkandawire, you have, I'm referring now to 2.0 under 3, where Honorable Mwanza Central was asking about time, and you said it's between 7 and 8 p.m. This should be on the 9th. Can you confirm? So, if it's on the 9th, if you go to the next page, it shows that later, after the VP might not attend, later it was decided that the president would be, let me say, the VP was supposed now to attend the funeral. It was agreed between 7 and 8. Can you confirm? This is on the 9th.
Chair, that was on the 9th.
Thank you.
In the evening.
Thank you. Now, Chair, I just wanted you to refer to the report from the previous commission. On page 14, SPC told the commission that on the morning of the 10th of June 2024, the SPC sent a message to His Excellency, etc., etc. I will take you, if you follow that, that paragraph, you go to page 15, because there was a confusion to say who is going to represent the president at Raf Kasambala's funeral. You remember that confusion. So I wanted you to also, how do I put this? On the second paragraph, on page 15, it's written, it was the SPC's testimony that at that point, she immediately reverted to His Excellency the President to correct the miscommunication, because the VP initially was referred to as you in the understanding of the President then, but later on, when SPC discovered that the second citizen was in the country, she went back to the President to clarify that what I meant by VP, I meant Honorable Saulos Chilima. Meaning, in the morning, on the 10th, is when the President knew that the Vice President had arrived. I'll read here. It was
a memo that was written to the former President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, that they should delegate. So he delegated Honorable Chimwendo Banda to attend on his behalf. The memo from that was deployed to the President. And when you mentioned that approximately 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. you spoke to the President about the same and he delegated to you, I want you to go back, replay the tape in your memory and confirm, just like what Zomba City South actually asked. Does this mean that the President then at this evening delegated 2 people to represent him? I think that's the issue that I wanted to get clarification there, because there's that confusion. The memo asked Honorable Chimwendo, and then the same evening you were contacted. So I want you to really go back to your memory on that one and confirm to us as requested by Zomba City South. And again, just a clarity, Chair, sorry, it's just a question of clarity. On number 3, because Zomba touched on it, and I think Mwanza Central touched on it, you said you advised to hold on the request to use the Donia, I'm thinking. So you said, and the President indicated that the Vice President might not attend after his long trip from South Korea. And the commander later confirmed clearance. Now I want you to go back to the clearance here. Is the clearance here about the use of the aircraft or the clearance for the Vice President to attend? I want just a clarity on that one, Chair. Thank you so much.
Can we get further clarification so we can close this matter and move to the next question?
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me thank Honorable Member for Zomba City South. The President, was he aware about the Vice President intention to attend or not? I think that was the question, Honorable. If
Chair, I wanted to know, because there's a confusion, you have said, as you were responding to Mwanza Central, that between 7 and 8 p.m. on the 9th, around there is when the state president then knew and cleared the travel of the vice president to the north. On the 9th, between 7 and 8. But the Commission of Inquiry report that I was reading, it was in the morning on the 10th, when the president, the ex-president knew that SKC was in the country. And thereafter, after he knew, on the 10th is when he delegated him to go to attend the Raf Kasambala's funeral.
Thank you very much. I have not read the commission that is being referred to by the honorable member, but let me refer you to my statement. That's number 3. Shortly thereafter, the commander informed me that a request had been received to deploy a Donia aircraft to ferry the vice president to the funeral. I advised him to hold the request, as the former president had indicated that the vice president might, let me emphasize the word might, the former president was assuming that the vice president, having traveled all the way from South Korea, he might be too tired to proceed to the north. So emphasis here is about might not make it. If they had agreed, I would have been saying the vice president would make it. So to answer your question, Honorable, the president was assuming that was my understanding, that his vice president might not make it.
Because
yes.
what we have read, shortly thereafter, the commander informed me that a request had been received to deploy a Donia to ferry the vice president to the burial. That was on the 9th, between 7 and 8.
It was on the evening of the 9th.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So I wanted you just to confirm to say it's on the 9th, between 7 and 8. Because what I was reading in the Commission of Inquiry report was that the president knew in the morning on the 10th that the vice president had arrived in the country. It's just a difference. I just wanted to confirm
okay.
that it was on the 9th.
Okay,
yeah.
I get you. Honorable Chair, whosoever mentioned about the 10th, I don't know. I didn't make that statement. You would have to check with the SPC.
So this answers the question of Zomba City South and
I hope it does.
Lilonge Moody. I want to proceed because we can't get stuck in one area. The question remains, did the head of state delegate the former vice president to represent him at the funeral of Raf Kasambala? I think that's a key question. And when was it made? So you are clarifying that this was made on the 9th, correct? So can we move on? Can we move on to the next question? Yeah.
I think Lilongwe Mude's question has not been answered.
Okay.
Yeah, because he asked in the report, there's a mention that Honorable Chimwendo, there was a memo that Honorable Chimwendo was assigned by the president, delegated by the president, to represent the president at the funeral. So this statement here from the former honorable minister, he's saying that the president delegated him when he spoke to the president at 7 p.m. So Lilongwe Mude is trying to get clarification on that. Thank you, Chair.
And the Chair, the clarification on the clearance here. I just want him to confirm whether the clearance is for the use of the aircraft or the clearance is for the delegation. So I want that confirmation as well. Thank you so much, Chair.
Can we clarify that so that we're not stuck on one issue? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, if Honorable Chimwendo was delegated, he would have been the one speaking. He was there when I was speaking on behalf of the president. So to answer your question, I was the one delegated, and Honorable Chimwendo was there. And then clearance was for the use of the aircraft. Earlier on, I said the commander requested me. I said no, get clearance from the commander-in-chief, which is procedure.
There's a Kasina, now your turn, and then Cheu Zonzimbai.
Thank you so much, Chair. Permission to engage the witness, the former Minister of Defense. I'll take you. Good evening, Honorable former Minister.
Good evening.
I'll take you to the presentation, your presentation which you have given, and this is we'll start on the 3 points. 3 points on bread number 3. The clearance which you had paused from the commander to seek clearance to the head of state. And then in your statement, you say the commander had later confirmed to you that the clearance was sought to the president on the use of Adonia by the then our former late vice president. Having earlier on already spoke to the president on the phone, did you try to confirm with the president on this clearance?
Chair, I can't remember that after that we spoke, but I took the word from the commander that he had gotten clearance from the commander-in-chief. It was getting too late at that time, so I can't remember.
So you didn't seek clearance from the president. You didn't check with the president if indeed the commander had seek clearance on the issue of Adonia.
No, all what I remember was that the president telling me that if the vice president is going, then you pave way for him, and I think I mentioned that.
That was the first call with the president or the second one?
Oh, Chair, admittedly, I can't remember. There were several phone calls that night.
Let's go to the funeral. You were saying on bread number 5, on the 10th, when you arrived there at 8:30, you have said we waited for the vice president until around 11 a.m. I'll not go read through the whole of it because you are the one who have read it, you have presented and you know it. As Ndithu Wakasangadzi said, we had the Minister of Justice here last Wednesday, who had said in his submission, an announcement was made at the funeral at 10 o'clock, 2 minutes before the initial flight of the vice president, which was set to land at Zuzu Airport, ordered the funeral ceremony to start, and that the vice president was not coming. The Minister of Justice was very clear on timing, saying this announcement was made at 10 a.m. at the funeral. Can you confirm what time did the funeral ceremony start?
The funeral ceremony must have started around 11. And the ordering of the funeral ceremony to start was not made by me. I don't remember who made that statement to say the funeral should start. But I assume it must have been the family because they were on top of things.
Your last bullet in 4.0, the recommendation and advice you had made to Defense Council to act upon, you are saying this advice was not acted upon. For you, Chair, I don't understand, you as the Chair of Defense Council, then the Minister, can you tell this community who didn't act upon this advice?
I made a proposal, having gotten the recommendation from our German colleagues that ELTs must be repressed in the donors. So I made a recommendation. I proposed that we should ground the remaining donor up until the ELT is repressed. Now, what was not done by the MDF is to ground the donor. But the process of procurement of the ALT started. I'm not sure where it is now. But,
no, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
Chair, what I wanted to the clear is the programming process, you have already said it. So you are saying the advice to ground the other donor is the one which was not taken. You as a minister, and the chair of Defense Council, you advises the MDF to ground the donor, but it was not taken, those advice.
It was not taken, and I did mention to the Commander-in-Chief that here was my proposal to the Defense Council.
That's it. I think you are taking note on that.
Chair Zonzivai.
Thank you so much, Chair, for granting us, the people of Chilichonse constituency, to ask questions to Honorable Harry Nkandawire. I have 3 questions to you, Honorable Nkandawire. I understand there was an order. Of course, we don't know where that order was coming from. I wish to appreciate from you who ordered the activation of the MDF search and rescue on the 10th June 2024 and under what authority? Secondly, were you as a minister consulted or informed before that order was given? My last question is, the search was called off on the evening of the 10th June 2024. Were you consulted or informed before the decision to go off the search was made? If yes, what was the reason behind the call off? Thank you.
And Mr. Let's exhaust these questions.
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair, I'd like to thank Chilichonse Vai.
Chilichonse Vai.
Oh, sorry, Honorable.
Thank you.
Chilichonse Vai.
Zonzi. Yes. Zonzi when you Zonzi.
Okay. Thank you. Order 10th June. The commander called me, and he mentioned that he called the commander-in-chief as well to say search had ensued on the same 10th of June. So to answer your question, he spoke to the commander-in-chief. He reported to me, and I told him, go ahead, we need to start search immediately. To say, Chair, let me also emphasize here, to answer your second question, Honorable Chair, MDF never called off the search on the 10th. I know that the police did. We're talking about MDF here. It never stopped the search. The search went on until the wreckage was discovered. Thank you, Chair.
Put on your mic, please. You have another, there was a follow-up question? There were 2 questions.
There was 3 questions. Actually, the last one is the one he said it wasn't the MDF who called off the search, but it was the police. If I get you properly, that's so. Can you tell this committee the one the name of the police officer who called off the.
I don't know. All what I know is that I got a report from MDF that we're going ahead, we'll be on the ground the whole night. Our colleagues have called off the search. I didn't get the name of the police who.
Katabenov.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with the supplementary from Njeo Nzonzi. Mr. Former Minister, about the call for the search, we had one of the witnesses here. I think Winnie Nyondo. She confirmed here. She told this committee that on that day she saw there were a group of people, police and the army. They were together, calling off the search together. Would you confirm, because now we are getting a different statement, because the lady, she was there with the police, with the army, and she couldn't identify a person who called off for the search, and you say that the army continue. Can you prove to us how did this went on?
Thank you, Nkatabe, Honorable Nkatabe North. Mine is just to confirm that MDF never called off the search. Now, if this witness says that the search was called off, I don't know who told her. It's not easy for an individual to see that the search has been called off. I wish she had told this committee chair who told her that the search had been called off. In as far as I'm concerned, which I think the commander will also confirm, is that the search went on up until the wreckage was discovered.
Second question. Yeah, on your bullet 40, you talk about the ALT. We now know that the emergency locator transmitter ALT on the aircraft carrying the vice president had an expired battery since 2004, right? As a minister, then you were responsible or approving the budget for the Ministry of Defense. How do you explain to this committee that you had a part that was not working in the airplane or the aircraft, but you couldn't purchase it as a minister of that particular time? Secondly, what is the standard procedure for the transporting the VP on a military aircraft? Thank you, Chair.
You may proceed to answer.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me thank Nkatabe North for the question. Chair, a budget for Ministry of Defense is a different vote from the budget of Malawi Defense Forces. They are two different budgets. So really, as a minister, I have nothing to do with the budget of MDF. We're talking about consumables that the MDF sources, like arms, etc., etc. So to answer the question from Nkatabe North, no, I had no business in the procurement of an ELT. But let me add, it's not a minister who makes sure that a plane has got an expired battery. It's the job of civil aviation to give a certificate to say this plane is worthy flying. Now, I think the Honorable MP there should be asking the in charge of the civil aviation to say, why did you allow a plane to fly without a COF? Even a vehicle, it's a road traffic that gives the certificate. I hope I've answered the question. The second one, VP transportation, VVIP transportation. Procedures, it's the foreign affairs. They know what to do. They come up with a passenger manifest, etc., etc. Me as a minister, I don't come up with a passenger's manifest. So really, I think that question should be directed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I'm sure you've had somebody here being interviewed on the same. Thank you.
Honorable Kandori, just a follow-up on the ELT. You've said clearly that it is not the duty of the minister to order spare parts, which is rightly so. But I want to find out, you as chairman of the Defense Council, did you ever discuss the need to institute safety audits of these military aircrafts, particularly the ones being used for VVIP?
Thank you very much, Chair. As I said earlier on, when a civil aviation has given a certified plane that is worth flying, the minister will not go there and say, can we check, do you have the battery working, etc., etc. So much so that as soon as the aircraft is certified to say it can fly, the assumption is that all is well. It was only when I discovered that the battery had expired for quite some time. It was a big concern to me. That's why I proposed the grounding of the remaining Donia. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry to go back there, but we have heard that airworthiness is a responsibility of the military. In terms of military aircrafts, we have heard from numerous sources that airworthiness and certification of military aircrafts and maintenance is a responsibility of military, not civil aviation. So in this case, the question of civil aviation certifying the aircrafts of the military was out of question because the military aircraft are a security matter. So I'm asking you that with this hindsight knowledge, did you have any safety audit mechanisms or any safety audit reports being submitted to the Defense Council for discussion? Because if this was done, the issue of the EOT not being functional, or the black box not being available, or the data voice code recorder or cockpit recorder not being available, the Defense Council would have known and made arrangements to order spare parts. So I'm asking, were there safety audits on these military aircrafts being done?
That would have been the question going to the PS because administrative issues go to him and then he reports to me. I don't know whether that was raised when he appeared before your committee, Chair, but I must confess that I don't have the information to that effect.
Okay, we'll move to the next one. The next person.
Directly involved in the search. I would like you to clarify, when you say we're directly involved in the search, are you referring to the 10th, which is the night, or you are referring to the 11th? That's the first part I would like you to clarify when you say we're directly involved in the search. Is it on the 10th or on the 11th? Thank you.
Chair, as I said, from the funeral I went home, but started making phone calls, receiving reports, then passing on to the then head of state from the 10th. And then 11th, early in the morning, I went to the area around Chikangawa and Raiprai up until the wreckage was discovered. So to answer your question, yes, I would say I was directly involved because of communications, etc., etc.
Okay, let me put it very clear in a simple manner. Were you at the search site or the suspected crash site on the 10th? Thank you.
Chair, only the 10th, nobody knew where the wreckage was. It was only on the 11th. And actually, nobody knew where the plane was on the 10th.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm continuing with the statement. I was among the first in arriving at the crash site where I met the Inspector General and Mr. Lungu and the other statement. I wanted to understand if you say you were among the first, if we said there were 3 or 4 groups, would you call yourself the first group, the second group, the third group, or the 4th group? If, according to the way you are putting it, because you say you were amongst the first. So I want if you can clarify if you were the first group, the second group, or the third group, or the 5th group. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, let me again thank Zomba Mbayane. Deza Mayane, I beg your pardon. I don't know about the grouping, but there were, when I arrived there were very few people. So in that context, I would say I was among the first, because immediately after I had arrived, soon after, people started pouring in. So I don't know about the grouping. I would be at pains to say I was the second, third grouping, etc., etc. But when I arrived there were very few people, mostly military people. I can remember the former commissioner of police, who is now Inspector General, and Victor Rungu. The 3 of us were the ones who were making communications. And as I said, that was the time I called the Zambian High Commissioner to Malawi. And then, by the way, I remember calling Kamuzu Chiwambo, who is a relation to Mrs. late Vice President, to inform him that the plane has been sighted.
Okay, Chair. I would like to know where the Honorable Minister was coming from when you were going to the actual crash site. Were you coming from Mzuzu? Were you coming from somewhere else? Or were you with another team which was doing another search somewhere? Where were you actually coming from?
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd gone past Ntungwa towards Laiprai. Was that time I was not told where the wreckage was found. So the commander called me, asked me where I was. I told him, and then he said, no, go back. The wreckage is at point blah, 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 blah. So I returned. So to answer your question, Honorable, I had to make a U-turn from Raiprai, go back to Ntungwa, which I think a few kilometers.
I know it was a very challenging day, but would you remember the time maybe when you heard that you should make a U-turn? And related to that question, if you can remember the time that either you left in Zuzu or when you arrived at around Raiprai. I just wanted, if you can still remember the estimates of such times, if that's possible.
Chair, all I remember I started off from Muzuzu early in the morning. I passed through the airport. I was told there were lots of people, so I passed through there. And then I was communicated by, I think, somebody from the MDF that people are targeting around Shikangawa. So I said, no, I just wanted to check what is happening at the airport. So the time, I admitted I can't be definite to say what time it was, but it was in the morning.
Okay. My last part, Chair, are just some kind of structural or managerial issues when you were there at the ministry. Were you having directors as a ministry? Were you having directors? Or which were the immediate officers after the principal secretary in terms of the way you were operating? Thank you.
Chair, yes. I had directors under PS, namely Director of Planning. Then I think a project director, just to mention a few.
So, Chair, for the future, or because we've been mandated this ad hoc to give advice. So you have a department under the ministry, which I could put as a department, which is the MDF or the Marine or these other departments under the MDF. And now the ministry, which was supposed to be an overseer, doesn't know that a battery somewhere is flat or the status of what. So that's why I asked that particular question about the directorates. Because a directorate, according to the order of things, is supposed to be checking on a certain area. So the director on inspection, the director on what. So it's because we have already heard, Honorable Former Minister, that your ministry since 1993 has been operating without a policy. So maybe some of these issues have to be addressed as we go along. But I found those challenges as we move. Thank you so much, Chair. Let me stop there.
Thank you, Chair.
Can I have Mulanje North?
Thank you, Chair. I have so many questions. Because you are wearing two hats as a minister, as well as the chair of the Defense Council. So allow me to engage him just for a few questions, then I'll come, if I'll be allowed to come again. So the first one is basically on the ministerial responsibility and oversight. As a minister, Honorable Kandawiri, you can confirm that you were ultimately responsible for the oversight as well as the policy direction of the MDF. Do I be correct if I say that?
Quiet.
Pardon?
Yes.
Yes. So, would you agree with me that operational readiness and safety of military aircraft formed part of your ministerial responsibility?
Yes, through the Defense Council, and the onus was on the commander who is in charge to look at issues like the ELTs through his commander, service commander of the air wing, because he's the overall commander. So he has air wing commander.
So, did your ministry have a system for reporting the critical safety deficiencies requiring ministry intervention?
Yes, through the Defense Council, when issues came up, we could address them.
So, were you at any point, either as a minister or as the chair of the Defense Council, informed of any operational deficiencies especially regarding the military aircraft at any point?
Chair, if Muranje North, Honorable Muranje North is referring to this particular donia, I would say no. But we had helicopters that needed to be maintained. Yes, I would say yes. That report came to my office. MDF had engaged, had identified a service provider. They compared one in France, I think, but finally they settled with one in South Africa. The company's name is Airbus. So that was to maintain all the 5 helicopters which were grounded. I made a follow-up. The contract was signed with Airbus. We made sure that the 2 were taken to South Africa. I'm sorry to mention, up to now, they are still there because of funding. So to answer your question, yes.
Specifically, was the aircraft, this Donia, that was involved in the crash, was it fully compliant with all the maintenance requirements at the time of the incident?
To the best of my knowledge, Chair, that time I would say yes, up until we discovered that the ELT was 40.
So, meaning it wasn't fully compliant at the time of the incident, isn't it? If the ELT battle wasn't functional at the time of incident, it means the plane, the ill-fated Donia, was not compliant at the time of incident, isn't it?
Sorry, Chair. Yes, this is the findings of our colleagues from Germany, and indeed confirmed that the ELT was 40.
From your evidence here, I take it that you discovered or you were informed about the malfunction of the ELT battery after the incident, meaning this critical malfunction remained undetected by your ministry until this fateful event. Is that correct?
Chair, let me reiterate that the ministry has got no business in certifying that a plane is airworthy. That is the job of technical people at the air wing. We have engineers there. We have no engineer at the ministry to do that function.
Who, you as a minister, who was responsible to ensure compliance with the controls, safety controls?
Chair, I think that question should be directed to the commander, who is actually in charge when it comes to maintenance of equipment
Yeah, I think first phase, I'll take it up. Thank you.
Zomba Tondo?
Thank you so much, Chair. Good evening, Honorable Minister, former Minister.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I think I will take you back to Nkatabe, where you're saying, actually, let me start by mentioning that when we had the witness, Mr. Kasambala, he mentioned that around 10:30 in the morning in Katabe, that's when they got communication from you advising them that the funeral ceremony could start because the vice president, the former late vice president, was not coming. And in your report, you're saying you were advised by the army commander of the same. If I would lead, your statement says the commander later informed me that due to severe weather conditions, instructions had been issued that the aircraft should not land in Nzuzu, but return to Lilongwe. That is, if the crew will be contacted. So I wanted to understand from you, when pilots are flying, do they get instructions from people outside the aircraft, from people from the ground? Chair, I'm linking with him, Director.
You may respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. That's honorable. Which constituency? That's sorry, I didn't catch that.
Zomba Tondwe.
Thank you very much, Zomba Tondwe. Indeed, around 10:30, what I did was 10:30 to 11 to report, inform the family. Not like ordering them to say, let's start. Mine was to inform them because I knew the delay was due to the waiting of the vice president, who was going to be the representative of the former president. Now, having been informed by the commander that an order was given, you're talking about the crew who were soldiers. So these people, they act on orders. He had ordered the crew to return back. To answer your second question, Honorable.
Thank you so much, Honorable former Minister. It's quite interesting because the aviation laws gives full responsibility to the pilots, and that, if you remember, Chair, was even verified somewhere. So we just wanted that to be on record. Because to me, Chair, I think I would have some interest to really discover what really happened, because that's against the standard practices. Otherwise, the other portion is when you're coming from the funeral, which was around 3, you had about 3 hours of daylight, and you are the most high-ranking person within the Ministry of Defense. And the funeral was 20 kilometers from Zuzu, and about another roughly 30 kilometers to Ntungwa. I'm trying to think that the distance was short, and you as a responsible minister, and I think Malawians would expect you to be closer to there, the way we were seeing other people on TV. But that said, I would want to congratulate you for, you've mentioned that when you discovered the dead bodies, you immediately called the Zambian embassy to ask for assistance of helicopters. Can you confirm?
Yes, I can confirm.
Thank you so much. And what I was saying about the 3 o'clock to 6, in my view, I would expect that if you were part of the search and rescue team on this day, you should have shown that you were you were concerned somehow. But you were concerned after, in this case, with reference to the reaction, you were concerned with the dead bodies and immediately called for support. Why didn't you call for the same support for the rescue instead of just concentrating on the discovered dead bodies? Why didn't you push the same energy to protect in case of some bodies or some people that would be involved in the accident, but maybe they are alive? I submit.
Thank you, Chair Zomba Tondwe.
You can drop your mic.
To answer your question, Honorable, I was very concerned. From the burial site to my home, yes, it took about 20 minutes, but we had to walk. I had to walk 7 kilometers because of the terrain. The vehicles could not go to the burial site. And it was raining heavily. By the time I got home, I was all wet. And I had to have a shower. At the same time, making phone calls. And to further answer your question, yes, I was very concerned. I did mention to this honorable house that I had made a phone call to Zambia, to my counterpart who is a Minister of Defense, informally that we will need your assistance. So the process of getting these helicopters from Lusaka started with my phone call to the Minister of Defense in Lusaka, and that was on the 10th. So really, I was actually flat out. I wish you were there with me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Former Minister. My question was, you asked for this support from Zambian government through the embassy immediately after discovering the dead bodies. Why didn't you do the same thing? Why didn't you ask for support to at least try and save lives? But you only called for support. It's like you showed interest with the discovered dead bodies, but you did not do the same reaction with to invest in the search and rescue. Why was that the case? Why didn't you call on the previous day when the plane was missing?
Thank you very much, Chair. Again, thank you, Honorable Zomba. The search started on the 10th. And by the way, there was a helicopter provided, I think, by the Americans. And as I said, these planes from Lusaka, they came for the same. So to say I was only interested in ferrying the dead bodies from Raiprai to Lilongwe would not be fair.
Okay.
We need to exhaust that, otherwise we yeah.
Same question, sorry, Chair. I want the former minister to confirm, because he asked Zomba Tonde that to confirm about the search. We would have started the search or calling the international help on 9th and not on 10th. And then you say that the search started on 10th. So it means on the 9th, where nothing was been happening. Oh, okay, on the 10th. Okay, sorry, on the 10th, yes. Okay, so to elaborate, that the international help why you wouldn't call on the same day rather than the second day after discovering the body?
The call to Lusaka was on the 9th. I did mention informally, that is because there is a protocol. Sorry, on the 10th. There is a protocol. You have to go through Foreign Affairs. But mine was only to inform my counterpart, whom I dealt with before on the what happened in Brant. I remember we had to call for the same helicopters. So really on the 10th, as I was coming from the funeral, I started making phone calls. And good enough, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs picked it up. And this prince came.
Thank you. Chair, my apologies. If I would just read what's in his statement. Honorable Foreign Minister, your statement says, I contacted the Zambian High Commissioner to Malawi to request assistance. And within 2 hours, 2 Zambian helicopters arrived and airlifted the remains of the departed souls to Lilongwe. So my question was, what you did was quite commendable because you responded fast upon discovering the dead bodies. So why didn't you do the same thing the previous day? I hope you get the question. You may not answer, but I hope you understand my question. Yeah, that was my question. And because from this statement, you didn't link with the Zambian authorities the previous day. You linked after discovering the dead bodies. And my concern was, through Chair, we should have expected you to show interest to the search and rescue so that there was a possibility of finding people probably still alive. Unlike reacting after discovering the dead bodies. I think that was, in my view, upside down, but that's my view. Secondly, Chair, maybe we should move from there. I wanted to, Chair, to ask the former minister, just like this concern that I have, I want to ask him why he allowed his principal secretary to go abroad before the former vice president was laid to rest, and your responsible principal secretary, the number one administrative office in the Ministry of Defense, was abroad. And I'm sure when you're going abroad, there are issues of allowances and travel as expenses. Why did you allow him to go at such a time? I submit for now, before the last one.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Zomba, the search, these planes from Zambia, they came for search and rescue. But the weather was so bad that they could not go to Chikangawa. So they were here in Lilongwe. They could not even go. So to say that search did not start on the 10th would not be correct. If we allowed, if these 2 helicopters went, probably we would be talking of another disaster. Communication was made that we cannot fly. The weather is bad. So really, visibility was like from here to where Honorable Kasungu North is here. You could not see. So really, to answer your question, these planes came for search and rescue. On why I allowed the PS to go to Spain, approval was granted before the incident happened. And by the way, the PS, they get approval from their boss, who is the SPC. She granted the approval that he should travel. I was up north, very busy. I didn't have time to even call him to say, look, don't go, or come over. I didn't have time. But probably it would have been him himself, he would have taken it upon himself, maybe to decide along what you're suggesting.
Probably the last one, Chair. I just wanted to understand, you as Chair of the Defense Force, the Defense Council, my apologies. As the chairperson, what was the cost of this ELT battery? Because you're worried about the budgeting and stuff.
A quotation was given, but it's I think it's between $6,000 to $10,000. Not the 200 that I've been hearing. You can Google it on your phone. You find that an ELT for Edonia minimum is $6,000. But more to the point, when this quotation was taken to Secretary to Treasury, he was told, whosoever took it there, I think it was Air Wing, they were told that let's wait, Forex is not there. But eventually, we were told that these ELTs were going through an upgrade. The original ones that should have been provided, they had phased out. So to answer your question, the quotation is between $6,000 and $10,000, not the $200 that is being mentioned.
I hope you are not answering for the ELT as an assembly. I hope you're answering for the battery only, just to confirm. The cost of $6,000 to $10,000, is it for the ELT assembly or for the battery only?
It's the whole system. It's the ELT, including the battery.
Okay, a complete change. Okay, it's worrisome. Maybe let me rest there, Chair. In the interest of time, I should give a chance to my colleagues. But you know, if you look at basic thinking, anyway, maybe let me spare that, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, we need to move on, guys. I think we've had over 2 hours. Can we give Zomba City South and then have a last round if people have any more questions?
Thank you so much. Honourable Minister, taking it off from Zomba Tondwe, are you telling this committee that the other donor also currently has got an issue with the EOT? Because reading here, you say you proposed to the Defense Council that the other donor be grounded until the EOT was replaced. Do you have information that the EOT in that donor is also not working? Just to confirm.
At that time when I was making this proposal, I thought the first thing we should do is to ground and do a thorough check before it could fly again. So it may well be that the ALT on this other donor is also 40, because they were procured at the same time around 1986, thereabouts.
Thank you, Chair. So we are just assuming that the AOT in that donor is also not functional. That's why we propose that it be grounded. That's fine. Chair, the Honourable Minister, former Minister, did not attend the emergency cabinet meeting. Can you confirm which is the former president called for, I think, 22 hours to allow several cabinet ministers to travel to Lilongwe? Did you attend that cabinet meeting?
No, I didn't, because I was stuck in the north because of the same incident.
Thank you so much. Minister of Defense, you are stuck in the north. I'm told some members of the cabinet traveled from the north to attend the cabinet meeting, but we are stuck there as a Minister of Defense. Chair, my next one is, can you just maybe tell the chair and the committee, the search and rescue efforts, this being a military aircraft, who led the search and rescue efforts on this particular incident? I'm saying this because this was a military aircraft. Who led the rescue efforts?
Thank you very much, Chair. And I would like to thank Zomba City South. On your comment that I was stuck in the north and other ministers traveled, I got permission from the head of state. Being a line minister of MDF, I was advised by the head of state to stay put and keep on reporting to him. So I just wanted to clear that part that the Honorable Zomba City is commented that other ministers traveled. I didn't travel because of the reason given. As to who was in the forefront on the search,
a certain center, a certain point, and be deployed to different...
I hope the Honorable Zomba City South is not suggesting is that that wreckage should have been there up to now, 2 years along the way. A decision was made that the wreckage should be taken to Zomba. Photos were taken, and that was not to destroy evidence. I would not agree with that. But just to mention that it would have not been easy to maintain that wreckage there for 2 years. Probably, I suppose that's the challenge that MDF was facing.
Mwanza Central, we should be winding up now.
Thank you very much. Just two quick questions. Number one, when you got to the crash site, you made a few phone calls, but the one that you've mentioned is the one that you called Honorable Kamuzu Chiwambo. Did you call the president?
I made some few phone calls to the president, but admittedly, I think he was busy, or he was maybe busy attending to the same, but he did not pick up the phone. But I was sending him messages, and he was reading. I could see that he was receiving the messages. So, Honorable, to answer your question, is that communication was, reports were getting through to him.
Okay, and probably after I got your message, I saw your missed calls. Did he call you, or did he pick up your call at some point, and when was that?
Thank you, Honorable Mwanza Central. It was, I think, 2 days after that, he called me to say thank you very much for...
the crash site. He saw a few. So I just want to have an estimate from him. And also, the period that he took to drive back from where he was heading to get to the crash site. What's the estimate period? 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, before the time that the commander called you and the time that you got to the place, and you found a few people, an estimate of that few. Then I'll have my last question after the response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. When I'm saying few can be relative, but all what I'm saying is that I was one of the first few that arrived at the crash site, and eventually more people came. I would not give you the numbers because I did not count them, but they were a handful. They were a handful. Especially the police and the soldiers. Civilians, probably it would have been myself and a few. Some were not allowed. We had created a barrier. So most of the people were outside the barrier. Where the dead bodies were not allowed to come in there because some were taking photos which we didn't want them to do. But with people, a human being can be a human being. And it was sad that we ended up having one of the photos going viral. But to answer your question, Honorable, a few, I would not give you the figure. And then travel from near Raiprai to where the crash site was could have taken me less than, I would say, about 10 to 15 minutes. Again, because of the terrain.
Thank you very much, Chair. That's all from me.
Longemude, so we can wind up now.
Thank you, Chair. My apologies because I'll ask questions that seem to be obvious, Honorable Minister, former Minister, but you bear with me because I want to have clarity. I know you are not a pilot, but Chair, allow me for him to respond very quickly and then I go to the next question. Honorable former Minister, I know you are not a pilot, but do pilots speak to people on the ground to get instructions?
That I don't know. And as you rightly put it, I am not a pilot. I wish I was.
Thank you so much. The second question that I have is on the wreckage itself. When the wreckage was moved from Tungwa to Zomba, was it still a subject of investigation?
That you would have to ask police. I don't know what you're saying, Honorable, about investigations. Obviously, MDF had their own investigations. The police were doing their own investigations. So really you would have to ask either the police or MDF.
Honorable Chair, the last one. I know you have clarified, but I just wanted to be very clear. Did you know about the 40 ELT battery on the Donia before that Donia crashed?
Chair, as I said, after, not before.
Thank you, Chair. Those are the questions that I had.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mkandawira, just one or two questions from my side. The MDF internal crash report, can you confirm how many reports were issued? Was it one or two?
MDF internal report, in as far as I'm concerned, it was only one. And procedurally, when that report comes up, it's sent to the Commander-in-Chief before it goes public. Now, last time I checked was that we were awaiting the report from our colleagues from Germany. So that was going to be the second one, to answer your question, Chair.
So was this report, the main report, shared with BFU and the presidential inquiry?
I assume that because the team from Germany must have gotten the report from MDF as well, just maybe to compare. But admittedly, I don't know whether these two reports spoke to each other.
Okay, because it's reported that it was never shared to BFU. So I wanted to find out, was this for security purposes or not? That's why I'm asking the question. But they made the report independent of the MDF report. So I just wanted to clarify that, but you don't seem to be sure, which is fine. The second one, you have said you were communicating with the state president during this time of the crisis. Is that correct?
Correct, Chair.
So any official statements made by the state presidents were coming from you. Is that correct?
Sorry, Chair. The commander was reporting to him as the commander-in-chief. I was reporting to him as his minister.
Meaning to say, any statement made by the state president, the former state president, would have to be sanctioned by you or the army commander. Is that correct?
Both of us, Chair, that would be correct.
So whom do you think misled the state president when he said that the aircraft was retained from landing in Mzuzu?
Chair, I did mention earlier on that Professor General Kuwari at the burial site indicated that the signal was picked from between Ekwendeni and Bwengu, which is way past Mzuzu. So I'm only assuming that whosoever, I didn't report to him, but assuming that the former head of state said that, it would have been from that premise. Otherwise, I would appreciate. But so far, interventions from the minister's office